Kom tilbage. Godt så.
There we go. So, wait. I think I am live now. Hello everyone. I can see we have 14 people in the chat already waiting for our guests, and I think we should just dive right into it. But let me remember to give a little bit of a shout out to, if I can point correctly, down here we have Podify, who's been sponsoring a couple of codes that we will be raffling off probably at the end of the show. So if you're live in the chat, if you're active in the chat, we'll be doing a random draw for the codes. And if someone has problem with, there should be music playing in the background, but if you have problems with that, if it's too high or too low, let me know. But without further ado, let's say hello to Elaine King and Camilla Kampen. And hello, how we are almost scaled by height. I'm not that tall. Elaine, you are well, I think I wrote in the Instagram post when I teased that you were going to be on the show. You are multiple world champion in various female divisions. And I have to admit, I looked at your PDGA profile, and let's just jump into it right here. And I kind of gave up counting. For how long have you been playing disc golf?
I started in 1983, and I was an absolute beginner at that time. And I started playing tournaments, I think at the end of 1984, but it was 1985 before I played a substantial number in any one year. So that might be before many of you viewers were born, I hate to say.
Maybe. I had no idea what disc golf was back in the 80s. We had a frisbee. I remember we had a toy frisbee that we threw around. That was fun. So on the opposite end of the scale, we have Camilla Kampen, and I don't know if you've had any chance to look up Camilla's stats, but I think maybe Camilla should tell her own story about how for how long she's been playing, and yeah. So Camilla.
Yeah. I was introduced to disc golf by my boyfriend a couple of years ago. And yeah, I played a couple of times, but I was really frustrated that the guys were throwing so much farther, and yeah, so I actually, yeah, I ended up only playing for a couple of times. But then when COVID-19 happened, I had a lot of spare time. So yeah, I started playing a lot in March last year. So yeah, that's when I started, and I've been playing a lot since then. Yeah.
And not to, I mean, since you're not mentioning it yourself, you ended up winning the national championships in the FPO division last year here in Denmark. So that was pretty good.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe, but if you have talent, and you clearly have talent. So we talked a little bit before we went live. We talked a little bit about the whole COVID situation. Elaine, how is the COVID situation influencing disc golf in the US from your perspective?
Oh, well, it was a dramatic effect last year. Of course, the PDGA put a hold on all tournaments for almost 2 months. And in many areas of the US, it was several more months before they had local authorization to continue with tournaments. So we had a very big gap in our normal tournament season, and the World Championships were all delayed. So no World Championship tournaments were held last year. They were deferred to this year. And so this made a very dramatic effect on tournament play. However, much like the story Camilla just told, the number of people playing disc golf has grown dramatically. And last year we had more PDGA members than ever before join. So it was a huge year of growth for disc golf.
It's the same for Denmark as well, and I think it's the same for every country. We have the luxury problem here of actually, as I think we talked about it just before we went live as well, that we actually have a problem having tournaments on our courses at the moment because there are so many casual players. Of course, as all the Danish viewers know, we currently have a limit to how many people we can be in groups at the same time in any public space outside shops and our homes. So it's for that reason it's really hard to actually have any tournaments. But with all the casual players that show up to the courses as well, there's actually a queue even on just on weekends. If you go to a local course in the country where I live, it can actually be hard to play a fluent round because there are so many players now. So have you seen an increase in the amount of female players? Or I know that disc golf has been around for a long time in the US, and the player base is of course a lot larger than here, but have you noticed any change? Is there an increase in the female player base, or?
There's definitely an increase in the number of women playing. However, there's a concomitant bigger increase in the number of men playing. So in terms of the percentage of women who play, I think that's staying about the same. And if we look at PDGA members, women and girls are only 7% of the membership. 93% is men.
So that brings us. I think that brings us to one of the major topics for this evening's talk. The women's global events. Can you tell us maybe a little bit more about that? Maybe we can ask Camilla. Camilla, did you know anything about the women's global event before this year?
No.
No.
No, until you contacted me about it. So yeah, and I don't think any of the other women that I play with knew about it. I don't know. But we have this I guess women's only Facebook group, and we're trying to get all the women who want to play to come and play in May.
Good. Well, that's exactly the idea.
Yeah.
And I was doing a little research for a story that I wrote that will be in the spring issue of Disc Golfer, and I realized that half the PDGA members were not PDGA active members the last time we had a women's global.
Wow.
It's normally held every 2 years. It was scheduled to be held last year, but of course with COVID, we delayed it. So it will have been 3 years since the last women's global. And in that 3 years, we've got 100% more active PDGA members. So that's amazing. But it also means that half the people out there don't know anything about women's global. So let me just briefly explain what the idea is. It's a weekend which was chosen to be the weekend that we celebrate Mother's Day in North America. And the idea is on the Saturday, women would get together. Girls, younger women, older women, women of all ages and all abilities would just get together and play 2 rounds on a disc golf course. And we'd calculate the round rating for both those rounds and look and see what women all around the world were shooting in our various divisions on that day. So it's a virtual global tournament with all the women around the world who are in the same division playing against each other, but on different courses. And we can do that because of the round ratings. So it's really fun, and the event has gotten bigger and bigger every time. And we're hoping that we can get perhaps 3,000 women to participate around the world.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's. I'm really hoping that. I know that. I think it's Carol. I don't know if it's Carol Finley who's in the chat at the moment. I can't remember the name, but there is a women's global event in the UK as well, and they talked about that on the Harry Messenger's Don't Shoot podcast on Thursday with Sarah Hokum. So that's definitely something to look out for as well. And I know we have someone from the UK here. Carol Finley is in the chat saying hi, Camilla and Elaine. And Katarina from Germany is here as well. We have a couple of Danish viewers. We have Florian from Austria. So it's nice to see everyone in the chat as well. But yeah, so one of my ideas with this interview as well is that I am the TD for the Women's Global event here in Denmark on May 9th. And of course I've been hosting events before, smaller C tiers, and I'm the PDGA representative here in Denmark as well. I'm co-organizing the Danish tour and working on the guidelines for the Danish nationals and the tour and stuff like that. But this is a little bit new to me. I mean, I'm thinking maybe I should I just run this as a normal tournament, or should I do something like do something special? And of course, I'm thinking I want to do something special because I'm also interested in having all these women come to play, and I am seeing a lot of people, a lot of women playing on the courses as well now, both alone and together with other women, and not just out with their boyfriends. But in that regard, I have a few questions that maybe the two of you could provide me with some input on. And of course, I am going to be sparring with with various people that I know in the sport, both male and female. But first of all, I'm working on getting funding so the women's global event here in Denmark can be free to participate in, even with player packs. Is that a good idea, or is it just like is it too much?
Camilla, what do you think? Do you think you and your friends would like to play in a tournament for free?
Yes, who wouldn't? Yeah, I definitely think so, and especially because, I mean, I've played a lot of tournaments, last year, and I mean, it adds up, and especially I think for the women who are playing for the first time, perhaps, or maybe it's not so serious yet. I think this is a great introduction to just to get a feel of what it's like, and I think it's just an added bonus that you don't have to pay for it.
And just to sum up for those who don't know, the official PDGA players package for the Women Global event is a WGE stamped dynamic disc judge, a putter. There's a Women's Global event stamped Innova disc. Do you know which discs they are? Maybe
it will be a Mamba.
A Mamba, okay. And there's a Women's Global event disc golf pin to put on your bag or shirt or whatever. There's a canvas bag as well, a towel. There's a disc golfer's code scorecard. I have a box of those here somewhere, but I can't remember where they are. But some PDGA members also received them in the mail, I think last year or maybe 2 years ago. And there's a pencil. And then it says, and more. So who knows what else is going to be in there. So well, okay. Well, I'm going to move ahead and try and see if I can get funding to get you girls free player packs and tournament like cover the tournament fees and everything. So that's going to be interesting to see how many actually show up. So Elaine, do you know if is it possible to get the player packs from Europe, or do we have to get them sent from the US?
We had an attempt to see if we could organize something within Europe. We were not able to manage it. And of course, with the logistics of it being delayed, that further created some problems. So for this year, the players' packs are coming from the US. Okay. I certainly hope the next time that we do this, that we can have a player pack assembled in Europe and shipped within Europe. And now, of course, that PDGA Europe has a new administrator. Oh, yes. I think 2 years from now, that office will be very much in routine operation and could probably manage to organize the Women's Global event amenities.
Cool. So we have to suffer possible taxations and stuff like that, but that's a small price to pay, I think. I think I had another question. I actually, when I posted on Instagram earlier this week that you two were going to be on the show, I asked people to ask some questions, and I have received very little, actually. Is that, just as a side question, is that the kind of publicity that we can expect that you have been experiencing in the sport, like very little attention to the female players?
Well, I think it could be that the way you posed the question maybe wasn't hitting the female audience, it was maybe hitting the male audience. And so the men may not be quite as interested in the Women's Global event, although guys, you have sisters and mothers and girlfriends, the neighbor next door, the women you work with. You should definitely be encouraging these women to try out disc golf. And for those who are interested, encourage them to come and play in the Women's Global event. And we do not call it the Women's Global competition or the Women's Global tournament, because it's more of a participation than it is a competition. The idea really is for the women to get together, to have fun, to see how many women of their category are playing around the world. And it's just a really fun thing to think about all the women who are going to be playing the same time that you are but on different courses.
So there's a question from Ria in the Ria Galesa in the chat. Ria is a friend of mine. She lives maybe 4 kilometers that way, which is 2 miles or something like that. She has a question regarding doubles. Does a female doubles tournament cost money to take part of, or do they make it for free? And maybe she means in general. I think she means in general in the US.
Well, the fact is there are very, very few opportunity for women to play women's doubles. And generally the opportunities might only occur at a world championships. It's much more common to play mixed doubles with women and men. And I think it's because it can be difficult to get the minimum number of women together to be able to form the teams and have a tournament of any substantial size. I think that could be changing, though.
Okay. I know that just as a little bit of side information, Ria's husband is organizing he has a doubles tournament series here in our local area, and they were actually meant to have a women's only doubles tournament on the 28th, I think, later this month at least, and I think they had almost like a full field. I can't remember exactly how many. Yeah, Camilla knows. How many players were signed up?
36. So it's quite a lot.
Yeah. So 36 players or teams?
Yeah. Players.
Oh, yeah, but that's still pretty good compared to how many women we've seen play disc golf here earlier, like at least organized and tournament wise. Dennis has a question as well. What should the role of the respective national federations be in growing the women's side of the sport? Maybe this is a question for both of you, but primarily for Elaine, of course, having a lot of experience here. But maybe a fresh perspective could be welcome as well, or is welcome, of course.
Women's participation, it's tough. I've been struggling with that my entire career. And the fact is, different women play disc golf for different reasons. And some women players just want to have fun. They want to have recreational. They're not interested in competition at all. Other women are very competitive, but then women go in and out of the sport because of primarily duties with their children. So it's very hard to get that critical mass of women playing who you can build on. Now, I think with COVID, one of the great things has been we've seen families come out and play. We've seen couples come out and play. We're starting to get a different demographic in the US. And so I'm hoping we can retain some of these female players. And, even if they don't play competitively, they can continue to come to the course and enjoy it. So when you talk about the national federations, well, the national federations are promoting sport as an example. I lived in Sweden for a year, and so I was a member of LUFS, Linköpings Unik Frisbee Sällskap.
Oh.
And so they got funding from the Swedish government. And so with the funding, they would do various things, help with courses. They even provided some funding for players to do some traveling. And I think, however, it's different in each country.
Definitely. Here in Denmark, disc golf is still a niche sport, so we're not officially recognized by the I can't remember the exact word for it, but the representative for the International Olympic Committee, which requires that you have, I think, 2,000 organized players to actually be recognized as a, well, in quotes, proper sport, because of course it is a proper sport, but in order to get organized public funding, we have to get more players here, and we're only halfway there, but we are halfway there now, but exploding. I see a couple of people in the chat. Rachel, hi from Scotland. How many women played the women's global event last time, and how many European events were there?
Ooh, I actually have that answer. I might have to look it up. I think there was something like 1,800, and there were 14 countries represented. I'm not sure how many of the countries were European countries. Go ahead to the next question and I'll look that one up.
Yeah. Carol is also asking, Carol Finlay is asking, we had a challenge getting sufficient female propagators in the UK, so we've had to open our day to include some guys to help. Do you know if this is a challenge elsewhere?
Oh, yes. There are many tournaments all over where it's a mixed event. There are men and women, just so that there's enough players. And I've often attended women's global events that have women and men. So that's absolutely fine. Just make sure the guys don't take all the attention from the day. It's about the women.
Okay.
And the guys are there to support.
So a follow-up question for myself. Does a tournament need to have propagators? Because I think I read in the FAQ somewhere that you will have to apply some other secret sauce to calculate ratings, but if there are no propagators. So do we need to have propagators in the tournament?
Yes, you need to have propagators. I think you only need to have 3 for the women's global, so it's fewer than for other tournaments.
It could still be tricky here. Maybe. I mean, if Camilla and Rege and Cecilia are playing, they should be propagators already, all of them, I think. I can't remember how to check it.
You can have a foursome of men playing along on the same course.
Okay.
Not counting their score for any PDGA purpose, but entering their score just to help give the women a rating. That's perfectly fine.
Okay. Because I'm also like one of my own questions as well is I've heard about events where people could, like women's only events where people could maybe pay, like make a donation, so they would become caddies or spotters or something for these female only events. Is that a good idea or not? Because I talked to someone else about it, and I know that I think I had an interview with Camilla and some of Cecilia, and I can't remember. I think I only talked to Cecilia and Camilla about women. Some women don't want to play in front of other people. If I like, I don't know how to explain it better, but they don't want to feel that they have to perform. They could be a little bit shy about playing in front of someone. I definitely empathize with that. I don't want someone who I've never met acting as my caddy. I don't know what to expect. I don't know how that person's going to behave. I think some women like it and some women don't. So anyone who's thinking of having a women's global event, definitely get with a few of your local female players and have them provide you some input about what's a good idea and what is not. Like my own feeling is that the player base, also based on the people I've talked to, I don't think it's going to be a good idea. So I'm not going to do that. And I would also prefer to have it a women's only event. So it is for these women, so they can come out and play and feel safe about it. But of course, I will be talking to Camilla and some of the other players a lot about this as well in the coming months before the event itself. How do you feel about the organizers? Is it like, I'm doing this because I want to grow the sport for everyone, both for males and females, which is also my responsibility as a PDGA rep here. But do you feel, does any of you, like Camilla as well, do you feel should the TD for a women's global event, should that be a male or a female? Does it matter to you?
Well, I don't know if there are any TDs female TDs in Denmark, but I think it's great that that you want to do it, and I mean, if a female is a TD, that might mean that person can't play, and when we're so few, but
because
I
so
think that it's. Oh, sorry.
No, you keep talking.
I was just going to say that I think it's so it's so nice to see that especially the male TDs are so interested in making female and female only events, and it's become quite like a, I don't know, like prestige or a kind of status for you guys when you say, oh, this tournament we had 8 female players or something, which I think is so nice.
It definitely is.
But it's so nice, and I was talking to, I think it was the TD for an event in Jutland, and he was just saying, that he really wants me to come and play next year or this year, and he just, like, a selling point was that there was female toilets there, because apparently that had been a problem the year before, and I think that's kind of silly, but especially as like a selling point. But if it's something that is important for other female players, I think it's so nice that they're actually listening, and it's really like indicative of that they want us to play.
Because my own thought was as well that we've seen a shift in the tournaments here in Denmark, that the quality has generally gone up, which means that if you have a tournament that's just a little bit, a C tier with a few extra steps, then the general feedback from the TDs have been that, if they're also playing, then they don't focus on the game, because they keep thinking about all these little details that they need to take care of as well. So my personal initial thought was that this was going to be the first and only women's global event that I would be TDing, because it could actually be fun to have a female TD for it next time. But then, of course, if it means that this person won't be able to play, then of course me and lots of other people would be happy to TD these events as well. So
I mean, it's nice that, or I think it's fine if a female wants to be TD, and I think that is appropriate, especially at that event. But for me, it's not a problem.
Yeah. And just a tiny spoiler: our national host organization is going to be, I am going to be hosting an online introduction to how to be a TD, probably during the coming week. So and which is open for everyone, since it's going to be live streamed. So you, Camilla, and all of the female player base here in Denmark is of course very welcome to also join that. We had some more questions here. Lars Lau is asking, we are starting up a women-only training group this year. Do any of you have 1 or 2 pointers we should have in mind?
There are lots and lots of good videos on YouTube to provide instruction. So I would say one thing you can do is to get your phone camera, put it on super slow motion, and take videos of the women throwing, and then send them the videos. They can watch the video of themselves throwing and then compare it to other players that they find on YouTube. And that can be very helpful for a player to understand what they're doing. Because of course, when you're throwing, you don't really know what you're doing, and you can't see where you might be able to improve. So that is one tip.
But just to clarify, by the way, last year actually the year before last year, we started actually having a training program. We had a guy from Finland come down and actually train disc golf instructors here in Denmark. And Lars is one of the key persons behind that program. And we actually, in the local club here, we actually have an educated trainer. So maybe he's asking for pointers regarding, I don't know. Maybe you also answered his question. Lars can ask if he needs more. But definitely good tips, and it's a good tip for everyone. Use your phone to film yourself playing. Have someone film you. Jesper Lundell is asking, what is the normal weight the women use for their discs?
Well, Camilla, what weights do you use?
Well, I actually use mostly between 170 grams to 175. So I don't really use the really lightweight ones. I don't like them.
So I started like Camilla. I thought it was good to throw in the 170s. But as time has gone on, I have gone to lighter drivers. So my drivers now are all in the 160s. And occasionally I'll bring a disc that is in the 150s that I'll throw if I've got a big uphill or if I've got a strong tailwind, because the lighter discs will go farther. But I actually have found just decreasing my disc weight by 10 grams makes a difference in how far the disc will fly. So I think most women probably throw discs, drivers anyhow, in the 160s and possibly the 150s.
Yeah, that's also my impression from other female players here in Denmark.
With approaches and putters, it's not so important, I don't think, for it to be lightweight.
Okay, cool. Let me see here. Oh, yeah, and we have comments from Eben and Sabine saying that there are going to be tournaments. There's going to be a tournament at the course where the women's global event is being hosted, 2 weekends in a row, and they would like to have a women's global event in their part of the country as well, which is 4, 5, 6 hours drive away from here, depending on where you're going. So maybe even should TD an event over there, or maybe I'm pretty sure that there would actually be a lot of people who would be eager to host an event over there. For me, it would be fun to collect as many women from all over the country in one place, but of course I can see for the touring pros, well, the touring pros, they're all pros. I see the problem of driving back and forth 2 weekends in a row. There might be Katarina is commenting. I think many women use lighter discs, but I, coming from Ultimate, prefer around 175, and also know many women who do the same. Also because of wind and reliability over distance. Disc Golf Girl UK, and I think I missed your. Yeah, she said hello earlier. Hey from the UK, Carol and I are hosting the event in the UK and have the most women players ever signed up. So how many women have signed up for the UK event? Maybe they can answer that. In our mixed event, we have given sign-up priority to women, followed by guys whose partners are playing in the event. We have found this has worked well. That sounds like a good idea. Rachel is commenting, if you're organizing a women's global event, you could ask to see if there are any women who would like to be mentored through the process of running a tournament and teach them how. That's a good idea, and I'm still working on the details for the tournament as well, so I'm not even sure I know what the format will be, but we're still working on sponsorships. But it's a really good idea to reach out and ask if anyone wants to participate. So Camilla, maybe you can remind me to have you or Rege or even post a question in the women's group if anyone actually wants to be mentored for this. That could be nice. Let's see here. For some organizing may be overwhelming if they have no experience, but they may feel more confident alongside an experienced TD, and that's always the case. It's always a good idea to lean against someone who has experience, because I've known of TDs, also female TDs, who've ended up with too much responsibility alone. Indicative. Ah, nice. Ben is commenting that indicative is a really nice word.
No.
It's something Camilla said earlier.
Did I?
Hasebill is come and go, Camilla. Yeah, with lots of these smileys. So, Carol is answering. There are 32 women signed up for the UK Women's Global event, which is pretty good. Given that the UK disc golf community has, they've of course seen a massive growth in the past year as well. But given they're a bigger country, it's harder maybe to gather all of them in the same place. Katarina mentions they have 38 signed up in Germany. That's good. And Eben is not able to TD an event that weekend. So you're not even going to... I don't know. Never mind. Hans is asking a question to both of you. How can we get the most female players to pick up disc golf in 2021? And I think he asked earlier, but I missed the question. So how do we get more women to sign up for disc golf?
So I think what you need to remember is the reason why most women play is a little bit different than the reason most men play. A big disc golf survey was done a couple of years ago, and it found that men liked the friendly competition, and that's what drives most men to play. They like to beat their own score. They like to play with their friends and see who can beat each other on the day, but make it a very friendly thing. The women, that was not why women like to play. Women like to develop skills, and women enjoy the support and sponsorship of others. So some women, like me, are just pure competition. But for most women, they're not about the competition. They're not about the score. They're about making the shot and learning how to throw a new shot and doing it better than they did last week, regardless of what your score is. So I think keeping that in mind, you want to design events and opportunities for women that make them feel happy and comfortable. So for example, a competitive round of singles might not be what you want to do. You might want to have a clinic instead, where you just teach women how to properly throw a backhand and a forehand. Or you might want to play around, but not keep score. And if someone does a bad shot, you stop and talk about what happened there and have the woman repeat it again until she gets the shot right. And, when we have an informal women's league, that's what we often do is we'll stop and take a second shot and say, okay, well, what disc did you throw? Maybe you should try a different one, or, maybe you slipped there, just try it again. And that just makes it fun, and it takes the pressure off. A lot of women enter disc golf. Maybe they're even athletic, but they've never done anything with their arms. Maybe they do running or cycling, and so they're not very confident with aiming. So if you can take that pressure off, that competitive aspect, that thought that everyone's looking at me and I'm not as good as everyone else, if you take that pressure away, you may find that women feel more comfortable starting it and continuing. Now, I'm going to ask Camilla, because obviously, Camilla, you picked up the sport and, didn't like it at first. So maybe let's talk about why you didn't like it so much at first, but why you liked it more when you picked it up again last March.
Well, it was actually, like I said, I was really frustrated that the guys could throw, much farther. And but then I was in Thailand in January, February last year, and we were playing at Samui Swine, and I got a birdie, and I think that was just like a win. I was playing from the short tee, and the guys were playing from the long tee, but I was the only one who got a birdie, and I was like, wow, I'm amazing. No, but I think it was just like a feeling like, oh, maybe I can do this, or and then when COVID happened, I had so much time, and I had to like go out onto the field when no one else was playing, so I would like time it and make sure that no one else was there, so I didn't look stupid. And now it's it's so silly because no one is watching you. Like it doesn't matter. but at the time it feels very intimidating. Playing with so many guys and so many guys that are so good at playing. So yeah, I think it's getting the experience that you can do it and it's fun. And actually next weekend, which was the weekend we were supposed to do the doubles event, the female doubles event, we've kind of changed it and we're thinking of doing skins. And I think that's also quite fun because it's not that competitive. Like it's more like a game on every single hole, and it's, you know, you don't get punished for having a bad hole, I guess. But yeah, I think, yeah, I agree with you that it's definitely about like not so much the competitive side of it, but more having fun and learning the skills. Yeah.
That sounds interesting. Having
perfectly illustrated what I was just trying to say. It's once you got a little bit of confidence, having a success, then you got hooked on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I know as well. Like I've been filming disc golf tournaments here in Denmark and a few in the UK and in Holland as well over the past 5 years. Starting with my cell phone and ending up buying a really expensive camera that I haven't used that. But I've always given priority if there is a tournament where maybe in the next to last round, if there is a female lead group I can film. I always wanted to film the women as well, to give them some publicity, and I know that when I showed up for our Danish nationals with a camera for the second round lead card with Camilla and Rikke and Sabine, Iben and Alette was the last one. I know that some of them had no, was Rikke on the card? Rikke was on the card, yeah, and most of you had never been filmed before, so it was a little intimidating. I know that because you told me. But
I was really angry at you.
Yeah, but no need to be angry now, huh?
No.
No, but it was actually like in the past few years, my own production quality has increased quite a bit, and we've started doing commentary for most of the tournaments as well, which is very, like, it's interesting for the viewers. They want to know what's going on. They want to know what discs are being thrown. So when someone told me that, hey, you should have someone from the lead card, the FPO lead card group, co-commentate. And I think someone suggested Rikke. I don't know why it was her, but it was her. And I asked her and she said yes. And afterwards, I know that, I can't remember if it was you, Camilla, or I know at least Cecilie was like, I want to do that as well. And so now I'm really looking forward to the next time I have an FPO lead card to film. So because my idea is that I'm going to have an all-female comment team on those videos. So that's nice to know as well, that you're interested, that you're actually interested in talking about other women playing disc golf as well. And I hope that will bring some more attention to you as well. And we've seen that with the coverage from, I think it was already, well, it's been years, but with Paige Pierce and someone else commenting on other female players playing, and it could be fun actually maybe to have female players comment on male players. Like, could that be interesting? Maybe? Because we're so used to having Big Germ and all of these other guys comment on everyone. How about we have women comment on everyone? Could that be fun for any of you? Not that I'm asking any of you to do commentary, but could that be interesting?
Well, I think what we'll see in the future is we're very much in the infancy of disc golf video production. It's, every year the production quality is getting better. and the commentary is getting better, but I think we still have lots to learn. And I would love to see women providing commentary on the men. I'm not sure that that's been done in a very large forum. So sure, I'll volunteer to do it. Some of the guys, they do throws that I can't even imagine. Just can't even imagine. But I think it's a good start to have the women providing commentary on other women throwing. And thank you for doing that, because then that gives the women at home something to aspire for. They look and they can see, well, how do women throw? What do I want to try and emulate? What do I want to try and mimic? And so they can see the types of throws that the women are doing. And for most women, that gives them a much better goal for them to aim at.
And if anyone out there feels bad about not being able to play very well, you should just take a short gander through my YouTube channel and find any of the playthroughs I do, because I throw like the amateur I am. So no need to feel.
When you're on camera and you do a bad shot, you feel terrible about it.
Yeah.
But actually, the people watching you feel much better. They say, "Well, it's good to see, the professionals making a mistake, because I make a mistake."
I'm happy to provide the service to offer comic relief for anyone. There was a question from Casper, the guy who's organizing the doubles tour here. For both of you, if you went to a training session, would you prefer a male or a female trainer, and would you prefer group training or more personal teaching?
I personally, I don't mind if it's male or female, as long as they have the experience and can that they can properly explain to you what you need to be doing. And I like a combination of group training and individual training. I think what we've done in our local club is really nice, but I definitely think that individual training needs to be a part of it, not just group training.
You may find that the players of a lower skill level, if they're women, they may prefer to have another woman teaching them. They just might be a little bit more comfortable. But I think once the women's are at more of an advanced level, it probably doesn't matter, as long as the teacher is a good teacher.
There is more. Jakob is asking, to which degree do you feel that toilet facility, or the lack of, is a factor in keeping women from playing more disc golf?
It's a big deal. It really is. There's a lot of discussion about lack of toilet facilities, and men can be more discreet in doing what needs to be done during the round, and women can't. And women have different needs that they need to attend to. Men do not have a period that they have to worry about, doing that sort of intimate product changing during a round. And you really need a toilet facility. Women will very often determine what tournaments they might not go to, depending on if there's no toilet facilities. And, I'm not sure that men have ever thought this through about, what if they were a woman having their period and there's a tournament that weekend? Like, how are they going to manage it? So it's a reality. That really helps encourage women if there's adequate toilet facilities.
Definitely. My women's global event is going to be hosted at a course that has a toilet, but it's only at hole number 1, so better than nothing, I hope.
Definitely better than nothing.
Yeah. Before we get into, there is a few more questions in the chat, but before we do that, I'd like to plug the way over there under Camilla, there is a little orange logo. That's a Spotify logo. Podify is an app. Maybe this is good information for you as well, Elaine. Podify is an app that has been developed by the husband of Sabine, who's also in the chat. It's basically an app version of the Finnish putting game, someone calls it. You set up some putters from 5 to 10 meters, and you start with 5 putters from 10 meters, and you see how many you make. And depending on how many you make from 10 meters, you go to another distance. Note that in the app, and then after, I think it's 10 or 20 sessions, you get a score. And the app is usable for keeping track of your progress in your training with putters. And you can set up different profiles, so maybe you want to train only straddle putt, so you can track how good or if you're getting better at straddle putting. And Podify they have given me 2 codes that I can raffle away tonight. So I'm just to let everyone know, everyone who's after we do these few questions here, we're getting close to the 1 hour mark. After we do these few last questions, I'm going to be raffling away these 2 codes to anyone who's been active in the chat in the last 15 minutes. So if you just write anything in the chat, you're part of the raffle. So just to let you know that, if anyone is interested in that. And thanks again to Sabine Jotok and her husband for providing these codes. It's awesome. And Carol is following up as well. Women need to see more women playing as role models, and that's a follow up to our comments about filming women playing. And I know for the Euro Tour as well, initially there weren't any plans to actually film the women, the female lead cards, but unfortunately there has been some discussions and negotiations. I don't know any details about it. I know that I might be filming the FPO lead card at Kokkedal Open, which is the first Euro Tour here in April. So we're getting some female coverage there if we can have the tournament. Sabine is writing, when we see new women out on the court, we ask them to come and play around in a women-only group. That is really appreciated, and they think they learn more because we give some other hints than the men do. So that's a good follow-up for the... Oh, shoot.
I'm gone.
Well, nope. You're right there. I think Skype just spazzed out a little bit. You're back. So yeah,
and
that's
the thing about women's groups too, is like men have this, you're always competing against each other, you know. Even when it's friendly, you're kind of competing against each other. The guys don't give each other tips. When women play, we're constantly helping each other. You know, we're saying, hold on, you know, you got your feet the wrong way, or, you know, have you looked over there and tried that way? And, you know, we're chatting with each other about discs and saying, oh, you know, you don't have to take your lie there, you can do this. But I don't see men doing that so much.
Definitely. No, men help each other all the time. No, we don't. The only thing we're good at is going, when we finally do a good shot, everyone will go like, yeah, nice shot. But when we do a bad shot, it's like, whatever. Ben is writing, first of all, thanks to Renee for his content. I have 2 questions. And thank you, Ben. I have 2 questions. Camilla, as the Danish champion, what is more scary, throwing over water or an island shot?
Island shot, I would say. Just because, I don't know. I think it takes a lot of precision to get an island shot, while if you're just throwing over water, you just have to think about the distance. Well, obviously also, but not so much precision. And for me, I definitely have more distance than I have precision, I think.
Maybe Elaine can answer that question as well. I know Ben asked it only for Camilla, but I think we can extend it to you as well.
Oh, I definitely agree with Camilla. It's easier to throw over water because there's just one dimension you need to think about, that's distance. With the island shot, you need to think about the distance and then how much the disc will skip. And it's more nerve-wracking.
Yeah, grip it and rip it. So the second question, and I think, and this is for both of you as well. But Elaine first, what is your mental? Well, yeah, okay. Let Camilla answer this one as well, maybe if you want to afterwards. But Elaine, what is your mental process for throwing or putting a pivotal shot? I don't even know what a pivotal shot is. Or throw. Oh, the pivotal shot is
the important shot. I'm
yeah,
thinking,
the backhand. Yeah,
like a key shot in the game.
Yeah.
I really try to think about nothing when I'm putting. If I'm thinking about something when I'm putting, I'm not ready to putt. So when I'm putting, I line it up. I think about the height. I think about the angle I want on the disc, and I do the motion a few times until I get in a Zen-like state where I'm not thinking of anything, and I just let go, just trying not to think of anything. When I'm doing a drive or an approach, I try to only focus on one thing. So it will either be maybe my release point, if it's a drive through trees, because that's the most important aspect, is to not let it go early or late. If it's an approach shot, I might think about height, I might think about the correct amount of spin, but I just try to focus on one thing.
So Camilla, what are your thoughts? Or none when you're putting? Because the not thinking about anything when putting is, I think that's key to everyone, maybe.
Well, well, I'm really, really bad at my mental game, actually. I think, especially with putting, it's really bad. The only thing I'm thinking about is, like, I'm always so scared that I'll have to like do a 3-putt. So I'm even when I'm standing there putting at a distance that I know that I can probably hit, I'm actually thinking, make sure that my putt is okay, so that if it doesn't go in, that I can get it in the next time, which is a really bad mental game to have. So that's basically what I'm working on. Like Elaine says, just like basically trying not to think about anything. But that's really hard. I think that's what I struggle with the most, especially in tournaments. It's really hard.
And that a mental game it's really important for everyone, but that's part of the training that you can receive in, like, when you go to and have practice with an educated trainer. They will tell you as well, mental game is everyone, and it's something for both male and female players. Personally, if anyone wants a piece of bad advice from me, is my thought process when putting is the basket is going to be in the way. The basket is going to be in the way. But of course that results in not just double putts but also free putts. So bad advice. maybe not use that. So I think we ran out of questions in the chat, and I think I had maybe a single comment from Reddit. Someone named Saint Valentine, and I have no idea if this person is watching it right now, or maybe they will be watching. I don't really have any questions, but I love my Elaine King photo. So thanks. So thank you, Elaine King, for such a great disc.
Well, thank you, MVP, for such a great disc.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I don't throw any MVP discs myself, so I can't have as good a chat as Harry had with Sarah on Thursday about MVP discs. So I had the one from the PDGA disc that they sent out in, I think, the welcome disc from 2015, but it turned out to be too lightweight for me, even though I like lightweight discs. So that has moved on. So I think it's time to do you have anything that you would like to say? Carol is actually asking, Elaine, are you competing this year in any tournaments?
Yes, I am competing this year. Unfortunately, I was hoping to go on the west coast of the US because there's lots of tournaments out there, including the Women's Nationals. But with the pandemic the way it is in the US, I'm just not comfortable with air travel. So I'm going to be staying close to home for the beginning of the year, and you'll see me at the Idlewild Open and at the Delaware Disc Golf Challenge, and maybe a few other tournaments.
Excellent, excellent. Hans is commenting, great program. I think it's the Spotify app he's talking about. So I think we'll just really quickly do the... Oh, Camilla, do you have anything? Do you have anything to say? You're going to be competing as well, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, in all of the tournaments we can have, if we can have any, and so will all the other hundreds of players here. I ran out of questions myself, so I think we're gonna do a really quick raffle here, and I can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 eligible players, including Sabine herself. So I think we're gonna roll the first winner here, and it's going to be... the bot should let us know any second now, I hope, if it works. There we go. Someone called Eghjorten the Chopper, and I have no idea who that is. But if you want a code for Spotify, let me know as soon as possible. Write me a message through Facebook or something like that, and we're gonna roll a second one. And the second winner is... I know who the winner is, but the chat will know any second now. The second winner is Eben Blåbjerg. And even if you already have the app yourself, you can give the code away to someone you know. Maybe your husbands, if you're both female. I don't know if the first winner is, but Camilla and Elaine, thank you very much for your time, and I know I wrote it down somewhere. Elaine is the chair for the women's committee with PDGA as well, and you were the one who sent out an email last weekend reminding all of us country coordinators and state coordinators to remember to promote the women's global event, which led me to think that, hey, you would be a great candidate for the first show of the spring season. And I had one last question, actually. If there's anyone that we should be looking out for in the future of female players, who should we be looking out for?
Ooh. Okay. I'm going to say Macy Walker. Macy is a player from Tennessee who I've had the absolute pleasure to play a number of tournaments against, and she's a very, very talented player and absolutely delightful to play with. So watch for the name Macy Walker.
Okay, definitely. And well, thank you to the both of you. I think we will be rounding out here and saying goodnight to everyone in the chat. And I don't know if you have any plans for the rest of the Valentine's Day. It's 9 o'clock in the evening here in Denmark, so maybe Camilla has late evening coffee to go back to, or I don't know what your plans are. But I hope everyone will be able to play disc golf tournaments again soon, and so we can have some tournaments, some great tournaments out there. So thank you to the both of you. Thank you to everyone in the chat, and I think we're just gonna end the stream right here. There is a late question, if you have time. Has Camilla scouted any female talent in Denmark?
Wait, what?
have you spotted any other female talents in Denmark, like someone who could have great potential?
I think there are a lot. I mean, a lot of the female players that I am playing with are quite new. So I think Cecilia and both of Regane.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they have promise.
Excellent, thank you. So now we're going to end the show. I'm really bad at ending the show, so to try and keep it down to just over an hour, we're going to end it here. Thank you very much, Camilla. Thank you very much, Elaine.
Okay,
I hope you
goodbye,
stay
everyone.
safe, and I hope to see you in the future. Woo.